fourth wall.
That's great. I was talking to
There we
nobody
go.
for like 3 seconds. What up, everybody? It's John Escudero here. I'm here with my boy Greg. No Nick tonight because he is he's asleep. He's got some work to do tomorrow, man. It's just us. What up?
John, it is one of my favorite days of any year in pro wrestling today.
What's that?
It is new belt reveal day.
We did get some beautiful new belts from Mighty Gold. I
Yes,
saw
we
that
did.
the first picture that we saw didn't actually have all the color that was necessary. That was in the final belt.
They put out an art piece I see here.
Yeah. You should send me
Like
the
a
new
render,
video.
I guess you'd say, right?
Huh?
Like they put out what was like the rendering for the for the actual build of the belt.
Yeah. Because I was thinking to myself, like, it's missing some color, but
Yeah.
I was wrong. Damn it.
That's also like belt photography is a delicate thing because you have to think about how the light is actually either how do you say is either accentuating or deflecting from the belt.
I got the image right here of the finished product. They're really good belts. The red and white gimmick he stole from himself, which is fine.
Is it a is the idea stolen?
That's really nice.
Or is it
Damn it.
is the idea stolen or is it a homage
To himself?
no, to like All Japan Wrestling.
Oh well, no, that the United National
Oh,
Champion.
I thought you were talking about the red and the white.
No, yeah, the United National Championship is a direct reference to the All Japan to the All Japan belt, but doesn't that belt predate All Japan or was that the main title for a bit before it got merged?
No, that belt predates All Japan, to my
It
understanding.
does.
No, yeah, sorry. When you were referring to the stealing of something, I thought you were referring to the red and the white because
Yeah,
that's what
I thought so.
that's what the post that's what the actual post references, the use of red and white as a known Joshi, just a known standard for like women's championships.
Red belt, white belt.
Yeah, red belt, white belt. One that at least to a lot of us is like WWE uses the white belt for their women's championships.
Racist. Hey man. So before we get into this pro wrestling, Greg, what did you without getting into spoilers, I guess.
Without getting into spoilers, sure.
What did you think of this X-Men?
We're just gonna talk about that. Okay.
No.
It was fantastic. It is. I'm in a difficult place where I am tasked in my own mind whether or not to consider it maybe the best season of X-Men animated that I've ever seen. Granted, I was a snob for some time. I have not watched Evolution, even though people tell me great things about it.
It's a great show.
I'll get around to it now. My snobbery has waned, seeing that the X-Men that I know has gotten its sort of just desserts by getting this revival, so I don't have to be an asshole about it. As far as I'm concerned, I won.
I would describe it like when you read like the Ultimate Universe books and they feel like you're kind of watching a remix of what you know.
Sure.
It's essentially that.
I get that. I think we both understand in our own way what it's like when that happens with an animated series.
Fuck you, Jesus.
Me and you have very different Avengers shows.
God, mine's peak.
Uh, I'm not arguing opinions on quality. I'm simply saying me and you have very different Avengers shows because we got to them at different times. And
Did you really have to watch United We Stand?
what do you mean?
That 90s Avengers show? That was yours? Ew.
No,
Which Avengers show did you have?
Assemble.
Assembled?
Yeah,
Oh fuck.
I never saw United We Stand.
No, me neither. I don't know where they gave it at.
I don't either. No. That for all the '90s shows that were around, I think the only one I feel like I missed, even though I wouldn't be surprised if you told me like, no, you saw an episode of this, was Silver Surfer. I don't remember a single frame.
Dude, that shit was incredible. It's
I'm told.
crazy. It's crazy because they put so much money into it and
Did
then
they?
threw it away immediately.
And then no one ever talked about it ever again.
They fucking hid it from the world. Like, oh, we have this incredible piece of art. It pays this wonderful homage to the king of comics, Jack Kirby. Put it in a box. What happened? It cost way too much.
And then DC like, we need content. Unearth the thing.
But yeah, I kind
unbelievable.
of have to agree with you in that this is definitely the best season of X-Men, like for sure. But I think it goes beyond that. I
Like the
think
best season of X-Men all the way back to '92. You mean?
yeah, well,
Okay.
period. I mean, if you have an X-Men thing with a season in it, this is
Okay.
the top.
Okay. So
This-
I was being clear because when I asked you that question the first time, you weren't sure yet.
you have to first. Well, we hadn't watched the finale yet, too.
That's fair.
But now that it's a complete, basically season, it's a complete arc. I would just put this season. This season might be my favorite thing that Marvel Studios has done since Infinity War. I don't think. I mean, that
Those
goes
are
back.
big. Those are big words.
Fuck. I mean, if that's my opinion, but it's honestly, I'll go even further than that. I posted on my page. I called it the best comic book adaptation period since Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Just the respect paid to the source material, and not even just and not in just like in a direct panel to screen way. Like obviously that would make me really happy too, but just the love and the care to all things X-Men, the small little references and details that you'd only not just not get them as a watching, but you'd only think to put them in if you were a real fan of X-Men. Because some of these things are
Yeah.
really small. You wouldn't even know, you wouldn't notice it otherwise. Like, Scott putting an X up and then doing the fucking video game beam. Like, you wouldn't even know that shit unless you actually grew up loving this and remembering it and thinking about it every other day because you're as obsessed as we are.
I
Yeah,
think there's something to be said about like it adds a lot of references to known ideas within X-Men media, but it never nothing they do ever hinges upon you knowing it.
I have this dream, like in a perfect world for me, and I sometimes wish I had the business experience or like influence
Acumen?
to pitch this to somebody, because it feels like we are really missing the way Japan adapts their fucking manga, 1-to-1 manga to animation.
Sure.
It gives a new audience access to these stories, even if they don't want to if they're not readers or whatever. And it's not in a way that's like, I need to put my stamp in it, or I have to remix it because these guys aren't available, or this guy is not on fucking, this guy's licensed to Hess gas station for whatever fucking reason. It's like, you take this fucking story, you put it on screen, and people go, "Whoa, that was so good!" But the season's over. I need to read more of it. You know, like when X-Men is over now, you're like, fuck, I want to read some X-Men. And I have to send you to 6 different places on a map. You have to
Mhm.
do a little treasure hunt to get a to get the same feeling. I feel like if we were adapting comics one to one, just boom, this is this is X-Men. Fucking
Sure.
20 seasons of Chris Claremont's X-Men or whatever the fuck. You would
I'll,
have such a different, it's almost in the way that this X-Men show revived the interest in X-Men and it kind of got people ready for the movies when the movies come out, and they're gonna be hyped as fuck. Deadpool's
sure.
gonna come out. They're gonna have a whole new appreciation for not just Wolverine and not just a movie version of the X-Men. They're gonna have an appreciation for an authentic version of the X-Men. And they're gonna go into these new X-Men Marvel projects with the real, almost basically the real X-Men in their heart, waiting to
Sure.
find out like if this shit is gonna connect, if this shit is gonna give them the same feeling. I feel like we're missing out on that with everything else.
I only got my Cyclops for a few seconds.
Understandable, but I
Wasn't
feel
that like
like
the last few seconds of Days of Future Past, or was it Apocalypse?
yeah.
Which one was it?
Was it Days of Future Past that he was in there?
Like it's like the last few seconds of the movie where they're all like lining up for roll call, and he has the Cyclops like belt line, and like he's got the Jim Lee outfit,
Oh,
but it's only at the end of the movie.
it is the end of Days of Future Past. It's the
Okay,
vision of the future, isn't it?
I don't know.
I mean, not the
It's been a
vision of
long
the
time
future,
since I
but
watched
the fixed timeline that only stays fixed for 3 minutes.
it. Nice.
but
The not so fixed timeline.
but yeah, no, that's my fucking dream for American superhero adaptations. Like,
Sure.
this shit was so good that it honestly made me resent live action projects for a little bit. Like, fuck, what are we even doing? Like, why are we wasting our time right now?
I
Put your
think the
money
trouble
towards
with
this shit
that
right
is that
here,
it's
and then come back to me with these movies after we've made the world comfortable with some real shit, with some real comic shit. Let me get an Avengers show. Let's start hitting these stories. Let's do this thing.
I think the trouble
Uh,
with that is typically like a well, one, uh the movie industry is
well, yeah, no,
so much
it's
about
it,
broad appeal. That's its own discussion. Um, but
that's another thing. That's there was almost, if there was an attempt to, I mean, I wouldn't say that the X-Men 97 doesn't have a broad appeal. I would feel like it was so, but it was so unapologetically itself.
sure.
It found the damn balance very well. Very well.
I think it helps that it's just as much like if it, for whatever broad appeal it might be going for, it's also very much a homage to a thing people knew from their childhood. So, and if things to be believed, and if things we have heard are to be believed about the actual putting together of that show, it was purposely put together by fanboys.
It's the way. It depends. Obviously, it depends on who you
Yeah.
have. Some people get lost in the sauce. This clearly wasn't a case of that.
I what I was also trying to say is I'd also argue that it's just easier, at least to my understanding. I'm not a manga guy. That it's a little easier with manga because it's so much more streamlined.
Well, I mean, to that point, it shouldn't have been so easy to do X-Men the way they did. But it was the 90s. Nobody was really thinking hard. So they were like, just throw a POV character in and we'll just take it from where we are now. Like, we won't even do it from the beginning. Like, we'll just
Sure.
jump in. That's how comics work. You just jump in. Like, pick a starting point, pick a fuck and jump the fuck in, and we'll fill in the background as we go. It's fucking, it's Flashpoint arc time, or flashback arc time. Like, we'll spend 5 episodes filling it in after.
I've always found picking a starting point with the X-Men to be very difficult.
That be shit. You could say that when in the first episode of the original X-Men series they were together, they had like 10 years worth of life that we never even saw.
Oh, sure. That what I'm fine with.
That's what I'm saying. You could literally start an Avengers show from this point in that universe. Like honestly, if it was me, I would use that as a jumping off point. Like we already established the fact that all these people live here, and yes, it's the 90s. So we jump into their lives at the 90s and we fucking transition out of that shit the same way we did X-Men.
But
Where
I
it's
think
like
that works exceedingly well when it's your first experience with a thing. If you're someone who watched the X-Men cartoon and then you're looking for that, it gets dicey.
I don't know. Like I'm all these things obviously all these things are they have other shows too, and I don't and those shows don't have the same uh cultural relevance that X-Men and Spider-Man did, but X-Men and Spider-Man did. So with those acting as the foundation for I don't know. I'm not saying I want to turn everything into a damn franchise, but you kind of gave us this little world here that seems fully populated and already exists. And it's like there's a lot of opportunity in there to do exactly what I'm asking for. Just jump on in there, jump on in that little pool, and just maybe plug out Spider-Man and see what happens. See how nice it is. See how fast the people take to it. I mean, people are begging for it now, and I don't think that his well, no, not to get into any spoilers, but people just have been begging for Spider-Man to the animated series from the 90s to come back ever since they heard X-Men was coming back. Like if it's possible,
More
then
so,
let's get that one too.
Even more so that 97 was a success.
Yeah.
Even the old I guess creator.
What's that?
All like
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
even
yeah,
the
yeah.
old creator was just like, yo, if they call me, I'm in. Like he
The voice
basically
actor too.
already
He's
said
like,
yes.
I'm fucking down. Everybody's ready. Of course, I want to get paid.
Yeah, he basically. I mean, yeah, you want to get paid, but like there are people out there who are just like, that part of my career is done. I'm not going back.
That's true.
You know, he's just like, nah, I'm in. Like, I've already said yes. Just put it in front of me.
I'm just like, this is the perfect opportunity to start getting a general audience familiar with authentic versions of the stories that you're adapting to film and turning into something that's easier to swallow, because now they don't have to feel left out. Like they can get in on the nerdy fun too. Like, you know, you're watching a movie and I have to and some fucking nerd is sitting there explaining to you all the different comics it comes from. You could have watched it in a fucking cartoon. It would have hit you with it would you would have been here together sitting down and pointing, doing the Leo DiCaprio thing all night. All of us. It's that's the world I want to live in, damn it.
More you than me.
We got close though. This I can only hope that from the success of this show, those executives kind of see the power of animation as a primary storytelling medium, because fuck my life, it kind of took a backseat for a little bit.
Yeah, you and Guillermo del Toro are still fighting that fight.
Hey, there's money to be made here, damn it. Let the superheroes show you the way. Don't be a fucking coward.
Sure. And there's something to be said as we spend 20 minutes talking about comics on this wrestling podcast.
Well, there hasn't been it's okay. Nobody will care.
There's something to be said about how much different things are on both mediums, where like, and I know you talked about this earlier when it comes to things like aesthetics, where cartoons are so much more forgiving, if that's a good word, or acquiescent to the idea of big bright colors that some like your homie Grant Morrison was very, very particular about it. He's just like, fucking real people in these bright colored outfits don't make any damn sense.
And then he fucking switches up and he's like, but why are we asking questions about real people in comic books?
I'm pretty sure Morrison ties himself up in knots mentally. So.
I know he does. But I've always had this ultimate respect for animation. It's got so much more potential, and it doesn't cost as much. You can do so much, and it costs so much less. I don't know how we got away from that. And there was for a while we were getting away from the 2D stuff because there was no real technology to support the way things used to be done. But even on this X-Men show, they found a way to put a filter over that real ugly art style they had on Marvel's What If. I'm sorry, it was ugly. They literally said it's the same techniques. Like they used the exact same animation style that they did with What If, but they threw a filter on it.
They added the cell shade filter.
And I'm like, why the fuck can't we do this with everything? Dude,
people make art choices, man, and then like you want to differentiate things sometimes.
Well, the thing about the art choices when it comes to 3D versus 2D is that they only started moving in that direction because it was cost effective. If there's a way to make it look as good as, like, I don't know how much it costs to make this X-Men show. I'd like to find out because this was some of the best animation to come from America. I mean, and obviously it was probably fucking animated in like Korea or something. I haven't looked it up. But but this is some of the best animation to be paid for by America anyway in a long time. I'd say fucking 15 years possibly. I'd say since Last Airbender. Not just the show, the quality of the story in the show. I mean the fucking animation. Some of those scenes are gorgeous. I would love to just put a GIF in a frame in my living room. Like, I don't want to get into spoilers, but earlier in the show, there's a fucking 2-second scene of Jubilee just being in the club dancing and using her firework powers. And it's like something they never could have achieved in the 90s, but they were able to do it today. It's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous animation.
I mean, from what I understand, back in the day when they wanted to just film when they wanted to just show two people dancing, they was just like, hey, let's take this scene from The Craft.
You just rotoscope them. Which doesn't look bad. Like, I never had an issue with it. There's that famous scene from X-Men Evolution with fucking where it's the dancing scene from Buffy, but it's Rogue and Kitty, and they're rotoscoped over Sarah Jessica Parker. All right, not Sarah Jessica Parker. That's the fucking sexy
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Sarah Michelle Gellar. They all look the same.
Is that what it is? Okay, I think The Craft I'm thinking about is with them walking.
That's in the same episode though.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Did it just base an entire episode off weird gothic?
I feel like maybe we didn't have money. Maybe somebody wanted to eat lunch. we didn't have the budget because
it's like, yo, I just don't feel like working hard today. What can we do, guys?
I was watching some movies yesterday. I got some ideas.
you, Greg Land of fucking video.
Anyway, I just obviously if you haven't seen X-Men 97, go fucking watch that shit. Yeah. And it's kind of we're honestly, I don't want to call it a renaissance yet. It might just be a good streak. But we've got some real top quality animated shows going on right now. You got fucking X-Men 97, you got Invincible, you got My Adventures with Superman, Batman Cape Crusader coming. We're hitting a nice little point.
It's going to be very interesting for some people.
I love it. I don't know if I can't imagine why someone would have an issue. Like, all these fucking shows too good.
I was more thinking about the framing of it time wise.
I don't know who could you even blame. Like, what spawned this?
Oh no, I'm not discussing blame. I was just like, when I read the synopsis of it, I was just like, oh, like no tech, like
just the show itself, that Batman Crusader show. Oh yes. Fuck, it's gonna be different, but I mean, consider the people involved, and it's like, how could you even question them? Like, I'm gonna question Bruce Timm on anything that doesn't involve Barbara Gordon.
John's like, you made that one mistake and it was weird, but you know what? You're mostly good.
He after 20-30 years worth of watching his shit, I've noticed he just has a weakness when it comes to Barbara Gordon. This guy.
Yeah. Although Bruce Timm also claims he didn't write that.
He didn't write that shit. What about all the other fucking instances of Barbara Gordon curiosities?
Shut up. I didn't write that one.
Oh, that one wasn't me. I just approved it very fast and very happily. And I just gave some suggestions. Maybe she takes her shirt off on the roof. Well, why? I don't know.
I you know what's weird? My there are a lot of reasons, there are a lot of things to draw from that scene. One of the weirder things that got me was just like the idea that Batgirl had this kind of fancy bra under that outfit, and I was just like, see, she's too smart for that.
That would be really uncomfortable. And you know
She would have
what?
had the most economically like logical sports bra.
Well, that's the thing, right? They wanted it to be because I'm sure this is Bruce Timm's dream, dude. He's waiting
Right.
to animate Barbara Gordon having sex for his whole life. This was
Right.
he was like, we give her a frilly bra. He's not thinking about the metal shit that has to go under the fucking skin tight bat suit. But when he drew her
Well,
himself,
what
he
the
always
bat
drew her
suit's made
without.
of.
He would draw her without a bra under the suit.
Sure.
Anyway, that's we've fallen all the way in.
I feel like a lot of suits are drawn that way.
As they tend to. But I guess we can talk about pro wrestling now. We we got
Jesus,
some
I'm sick
news
of
that
this
came out
conversation.
right before we went on the air as CyberFight shifted around their staff and demoted their president to an executive vice president position, and then hired not hired. I don't know where he fucking came from. Yasu Okamoto is the new president of CyberFight, and his first fucking announcement is that his main mission is to strengthen CyberFight's relationship with the WWE. I hate this, but
John is flaccid.
They also announced Keiji Muto will be their head, I guess, scouting advisor person. I think it's just basically head of talent scouting.
Yes.
So that's going to be an interesting thing to look at for the next few months because Noah, DDT, and Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling they're all part of the United Japanese Wrestling. I forgot what the fuck it's called. UJPW, United Japanese Pro Wrestling Coalition. And the whole idea is that they will hold hands together and play together and make sure that we are all represented in a government. I forgot the fucking word. They just want to make sure they're represented in the government when decisions are being made that will affect pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But they also wanted to run shows together and exist together. And that's going to be weird if 3 of the 9 companies and 3 of the big ones are fucking in bed with the WWE, who famously doesn't work with AEW, while AEW works with pretty much all 3 of these companies. I imagine that's going to come to an end as well. Because you got New Japan, which is probably the biggest company in the United Japanese Pro Wrestling Coalition, and they've got a very, very strong relationship with AEW as well. So it's going to be really weird how this falls apart.
It's kind of interesting in the sense of that like WWE at this very moment has been extraordinarily friendly with other wrestling companies in a way that they have never been, and yet they are still not very friendly at all. Do not get that mixed up.
No, I don't. I don't know, man. I don't really know how to feel about it because it's, there's that thing about it being a new company, quote unquote. It's not Vince anymore, right? But when WWE had their relationships with the United Kingdom and their indie scene and the wrestling companies there, it's not like it was Vince. that was Hunter. That was Triple H. These are the guys in charge now. Like,
place infamous Pete Dunne quote here.
Triple H is the dude standing in front of the fucking world map saying NXT is going to take over every fucking country. That's his vision.
This is where the missile silos are.
His world domination, evil villain vision of taking over fucking the world with WWE NXTs everywhere.
Isn't that what it looked like?
It is exactly what it was.
You look like fucking M. Bison.
When I hear that Cyber Fight wants to partner with WWE like this, I just imagine they're gonna accidentally turn themselves into NXT Japan.
Mm.
That is my fear. I guess that's my ultimate fear. But
It's
if
the only way in.
honestly,
You can't just build NXT Japan out there. You'd have to co-op somebody.
honestly, it's honestly kind of sad seeing that all of Japan has just become a feeder to America. Uh, but
I
I think Okada leaving was like that was the dam breaking. Like that was the one final top guy in Japan had never gone to America that can make you believe there's an opportunity for you over there to have that. If you live in Japan, you can be Okada. You don't have to. You can be Kota Ibushi. You can be Hiroshi Tanahashi. You don't have
I
to go to
mean
America. The yen is
that
down. Right? The
yes,
yen is
that's one
horribly
thing.
down.
And
That's
I think there's also something to be said, according to the reports anyway, that, you know, things may have been different if Okada's relationship with the company itself had not supposedly changed.
that is definitely one of the bigger factors was the president, but they made an effort to remove that dude
Sure.
and stick in a friend of Okada, and still he left. So, I mean, it's like once that happened, for whatever reasons it happened, he had his own reasons, but I'm
Yeah.
sure some of those reasons also align with the whole of the culture in Japanese wrestling. This thought that there isn't enough over there. There's just
Um.
not enough. Not
Yeah.
enough
We.
money, not enough uh recognition, you know. You see it, you almost see it not every time, but many times you've heard now about the Japanese wrestler who comes to America and doesn't expect the reaction they get, the adulation, the way the crowd treats them. It happened to Nakamura. It happened to Kabashi. It happened
Dude,
to
I
Muda.
just watched the Kobashi video the other day, and it's so hilarious because, like, you've seen Kobashi in Japan so many times, and he has the this way that he walks to the ring that that you've expected, and like, there's a couple. The fucking way that he stood on that stage in New York City in Ring of Honor and saw that reaction and just randomly went, "Durr!"
He was so fucking moved. He looked
Yay!
around like, what the fuck? They
Like,
love
that
me.
is not a Kobashi reaction. He just, like, you can see it in his face. He was just like, "Durr!" It's like that. It's the meme from It's Always Sunny of the Trash Man, where he's just like, and everyone goes crazy.
I think a lot. I think basically that moment of realization has happened to the whole of Japanese wrestling.
Yeah.
Like there
There was
that
also
is
the story of Great Muda and Go Get the Good Pants.
that there's Nakamura at the World show. Okada pretty much anytime he comes to America and gets a fucking superstar reaction.
Yeah. A lot
Mina
of them.
Shirakawa right now is like,
Has
what
she
the fuck
spoken
is
about that?
this? She's on America like this is incredible.
Yeah.
She's ready. She wants to be poached, I think.
I think there's two things that happened there. One, yeah, I think a lot of them are very surprised that they have any international appeal, because I don't think anyone's talking to them about what their stuff is doing outside of Japan. And granted, Kobashi and Nakamura can be forgiven. We were technically stealing that shit, but they had no reason to believe that. Jesus Christ. Uh, Kobashi and Nakamura had no reason to believe they had any profile out here. I heard a story about Tanahashi constantly being shocked anytime somebody had a T-shirt of his. He's like, "Where'd you get that?" Who sold it? um, but like that's a thing that happens back then. Nowadays, when it's like Mina Shirakawa, it's like, yeah, you've kind of got a profile out here, even though technically you guys have a global website. It's not hard to get to you, but people are still kind of surprised. I think the other thing that happens is that Muda speaks on it. I imagine a few people would if you asked them. Compared to Japan, everything is 10 times easier out here because the American crowds are animated and you don't always have to work that hard to get the reaction that you have to from the Japanese.
Depending on who you are, of course.
Depending. Like Mina Shirakawa shows up and they're already reacting. She's just like, geez, I didn't have to do anything. This is amazing. I want to work less hard.
Woman. But yeah, that's I'm kind of not. I imagine this means they want talent exchanges and they want to try to get WWE guys on their show. And
sure,
I just wonder how much. I guess I wonder how much this does for them to have things like that.
You're looking for the actual value in it all.
Yeah, beyond, I guess, unless it's just looking for like Western recognition or like just trying to establish yourself in America in some way, then I guess I understand, especially if you want WWE to, have your clips on their show and play it to America and bring your guys over, but
they won't.
I don't see WWE doing that shit.
They won't, but it's a nice dream.
It's a dream is what it is, a pipe dream. I mean, you saw what they did with All Japan. I don't want to say they sold them on a bag of goods.
Which version?
They kind of did.
No, I said which version?
Not the other thing. That other thing pretty much worked for what it was. I mean, it was a 3-way dome show and they all made money. The matches some of the matches sucked, but it was what it was. But I mean the Charlie Dempsey Dempsey thing. They sent Charlie Dempsey over to All Japan.
Thinking of I'm sorry. I keep thinking of the very interesting reaction I feel like all hardcore wrestling fans felt when they saw, ooh, fucking Brett versus Misawa? Oh, it stinks.
And they fucking find out Brett doesn't even like Misawa as a wrestler.
It doesn't surprise me at all. It's just two different philosophies.
He's like, the Tekken Tiger Mask isn't worth a shit.
But also, Misawa was kind of fucking awful as Tiger Mask.
Yeah, he hated that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, when it comes to talent exchanges and shit, if I wanted to have pipe dreams of my own, it would be awesome if WWE was sending like Gunther over to fucking Noah or something like but I don't see that happening, and I don't see them being like, oh yeah, send over fucking Keno, send over Kaito, and we're gonna put him over Ricochet on Raw. Like, this ain't Dynamite, brother.
It was bought. Like, I remember it came up recently with another group of friends of mine. It was like they're like, yeah, like WWE sent guys over. It's a different day. I was like, dog, they sent the most expendable people they could.
They sent over a dude on NXT who wasn't even in any major storylines to challenge for the main title in All Japan, and that president bent over and spread his ass for them.
Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, they fucking sent Kenta to Noah, the guy they were doing nothing with.
Of course. Oh no. Oh, but they sent Nakamura to fight Muda. The motherfucker wasn't doing nothing on TV before that either.
Yeah. And basically came back with a. Not only did he come back with a new look, but he was just like, I beat Muda. I have inherited the fucking green mist. I'm only the 7th person in this room to do it.
You know what they could have done with that? You know what kind of push they could have been like, oh, Nakamura just came back from Japan where he pinned the gray Muda on his way out. And nothing. I never even saw a clip of
and
that
they own
shit.
footage of Muda. He's in the new game in a few months. They could have used stuff.
Again, this is why I have no hope for this. I know it's like, oh, but if it was AEW, you would be excited. I mean, like, because I know I'm gonna get some good matches out of it. I know that, regardless of how I feel about the fucking, however he ends up getting booked, or however Tony Khan tries to poach or steal all the best people as soon as he fucking finds their value. I know for my own personal enjoyment, I'm gonna get some damn good wrestling at least a few times. I don't know if this partnership with WWE is gonna lead to that, because I don't see WWE treating them like equals at all. I feel like WWE at best will just try to use them to establish NXT Japan, or become it for them. Fucking, well, you can be our feeder system.
Yeah. The sad thing about interpromotional most things, and like sometimes some things happen. I'm not gonna say it never does. But about most interpromotional deals is that the politics are so much greater than any pipe dream you can have, right? So any possibility about how cool it would be to see top guy from here face top guy from here always runs into the massive wall of interpromotional wrestling politics. The fact that it happens sometimes is usually pointing to some sort of depressing truth or economic downturn on one side, right? You know why you get fucking Kensuke versus Kawada? Because All Japan needed anything they could fucking get.
We are broke.
Because 98% of the company left, and like Kawada is willing to do anything now.
I mean, and again, that's definitely the situation here with CYBERFIGHT and pretty much most Japanese wrestling promotions at this time. It's rough economically, and they're gonna try to make it work however they can.
So. Listen, credit where it should be told. They are working together as best they can to invest in saving their industry, because times are rough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna knock them for
on
it.
New Japan selling out the dome once a year to support it.
I'm not gonna knock them for it, but I hate it, and it doesn't move me, and I want it to stop.
I think that helmet is getting in the way of your audio.
No, that was me. I clicked the damn button. I said I'm not gonna knock him for it, but I hate it and I want it to stop. So, yeah, but that's pretty much. We'll follow that story as it develops, because there's still more to it. Like, it might not even be that big of a deal. Although I don't believe that. There's a bit of a cope online from people that don't want. They're like, wait and see, wait and see, wait and see. But I'm like, the motherfucking new president of CYBERFIGHT just said explicitly that he wants to strengthen his relationship with WWE. That pretty much says all I need to fucking know. Like, but if it makes you feel better, then you do you, my friend.
The only other announcements that seemed to come out of that was that the gentleman named Oka Sasaki has actually formally joined Noah. He'd been wrestling with them for some time. I believe Oka has a few UFC fights under his belt.
I didn't know that. What the hell?
Yes.
Did he win?
I mean, that's sort of one of those questions. Like, if he was winning, I think he'd still be there. I don't know. Maybe he made a choice, right?
Well, I guess we'll talk. We'll talk more about that, because I think they added one more to their junior division too.
Um, yes, Ita, who has formerly of Dragon Gate Pro Wrestling, has joined them, and claims to be the new face of their junior division.
All right. So, I mean, we I have fuck me, I'm having a stroke. Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks, Greg. Did you get to see Ricky Starks' comments this afternoon?
I absolutely did not.
So he was a guest on What Culture Wrestling, and they asked him why he hadn't been on AEW TV recently, and he was just like, I'm not hurt. Even the night that people think I got hurt, I specifically stated, "Hey, I'm not hurt." I was just being cautious about it because at the moment I didn't know what was happening, especially with my side of my body. So I wasn't hurt. I wasn't ever put on any injury list or nothing like that. I
Mhm.
have no answers. People ask me all the time, "Well, why aren't you?" I don't know. I have no clue. That isn't up to me. It does suck, obviously, not to be on TV, but the
Yeah.
support and people online who send me messages is very, very sweet, very encouraging. And so he's asked if he will be on Double or Nothing, and he says, "I hope so, but I don't know." Every time I predict something to go some way, it doesn't go that way, and it kind
Mm.
of just leaves me being like, "Well, we'll just figure it out and see." I really have no clue. It's just a very interesting time. I feel like, and I wish that I was on Dynamite. I wish I was on Dynasty. I wish I was on these things. But I think at a certain point, just for my own sanity, I can't go too crazy about it because the proof is in my work and the effort that I've constantly given 1000% effort. So at a certain point, it's not in my control. I think that's the biggest lesson I have about these things that are not in my control. I just, I try the hardest I can. Uh,
Okay.
so they ask him when his contract expires, and he's like, some things you just keep to the heart, right? Obviously, I'm not.
You're gonna
But
keep that one close to the chest.
he does give some he kind of talks really highly about CM Punk and what CM Punk tried to do for him
Oh,
with
that's a red
AW
flag.
with AW Collision, and how it doesn't matter what anybody says, they shouldn't try to vilify CM Punk for thinking different than they do. And
Oh boy, if he wasn't getting released before, he is now. I'm kidding.
yeah, and he basically
John agrees. He's just like, no, it's gonna happen.
I'm letting him go too. No,
You piece of shit.
I'm sorry. He can't be sucking dick on camera while you work here. Sorry. No,
John is like, no, disloyalty. I sense it.
no. I don't run a business. So I can say these things. But yeah, so he says all these great things about CM Punk, and everyone immediately goes like, "Well, like, I'm pretty sure
I think
that
he just signed his resignation right there.
he's out of here." Um, and it's just one
Then
of those
again,
things, right?
doesn't Danhausen still have a job?
He shouldn't. No, that's fucked. No, everybody should. No, I don't mean that. That is a joke. That is a very bad joke. I'm sorry.
You have to be clear sometimes.
You have to be clear because they're like, how you want him to lose his livelihood? No, relax. I don't want his kids to starve. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
Have you people ever
There's
heard
really
of a
people like
funny?
that though. They're like, why is he still working here? Motherfucker, just let him get paid. He
Right.
ain't bothering me. He's not on TV. No. Now that's fucked up. Uh Listen, it's not even the CM Punk thing that's gonna get Ricky. It's just like what every time they tried to do something with him, it wasn't even his fault. Like they try to do something and then somebody gets fired. They try to do something and then somebody gets hurt. They try to do something and then somebody else gets fucked up, so they have to give you a thing to hold for us. It's never really worked out for Ricky. I think we even had a conversation about this before where we talked about how even when he came in, he wasn't like in the plans. Like they brought him in because he was really good with Cody, and then they put him in an already existing thing with Team Taz, and
Yeah.
then he broke out, but They didn't fucking do shit. It was just it was a vehicle for Hobbs, I guess. It was never in Tony Khan's plans like that. It's fucked up because he's really good. I don't know if I don't know. This might be wrong. I don't want to sound like I'm turning on Ricky Starks. I like Ricky Starks. I think he's a great wrestler with a lot of charisma, and a lot of potential.
Are you questioning whether or not he is worth the bidding war?
Well, not really. I mean, he's definitely worth having in either company. But
sure. But how much you like the question there becomes, how hard are you gonna fight for Ricky Starks?
Yeah, that's I don't know if I'd fight so hard right now. Like they've got so much going on. In 2021, I would have fought really, really hard to keep Ricky Starks.
Interesting.
Because I'm, I got some stars, but I've still gotta build. I gotta make sure I have some new stars for 2024. Like in 2024, with the roster that they have now, I don't know that I would fight that hard to keep Ricky.
Sure.
And then on the other side of that, if he does go to WWE,
the many tragedies of being a year one hire,
right? Unfortunately, if you didn't make it work within the last 5 years, then you've been overlapped. And it might not even be your fault. Sometimes it might be the booking. Like it's the guy in charge. He had a different favorite. It wasn't your day. It happens. It's fucked up, but it's a fact of life. Fortunately, Ricky Starks might have fallen into that hole. And again, it wasn't even his fault, man. The guy's really talented. It just happened. It was more. I put it on the booking. I put it on Tony. He just didn't want. I don't know if he didn't want it, Ricky Starks. I don't know why. But that's kind of how it has seemed all this time. I don't know if you disagree. Let me know, Greg.
No, I don't necessarily disagree. I think Ricky's always had a tough time. I think Ricky is also Ricky Starks is sort of a unique individual in that some ways that can always be a massive boon for you in the wrestling business. In some ways that can hurt you because then you become like, I don't know how to book this guy.
Yep.
You just get people from the outside who don't really know who you are as a character, and that can be tough for people. I think there are a lot of upsides with Ricky Starks. I would argue that maybe from the start, maybe WWE was always a better fit for him as an entertainer.
There's truth to that too, because he's a big entertainer. He's a talker, and I think he's good in ring too.
Sure,
but he's got a lot of charisma, and people compared him to The Rock for a reason more than just his looks. He just had an energy about him. And of course, that might be the thing that holds him back in today's WWE, though. I don't know.
It very well could be, especially when people were already up in arms about comparing LA Knight to The Rock and Austin.
He fell off the face of their. I mean, he didn't fall off the face of the earth, but he doesn't. LA Knight is not being booked like somebody who matters in the WWE right now. He's taking losses. He had a good match at WrestleMania.
He did.
AJ. But he's fucking not in the title. He's not in the significant stories. He's not doing shit. He kind of got overshadowed. A little fucked up.
He may be on the wrong brand.
That's also. Yeah, I feel like he if he was on Raw, I would agree with that. Today and after the draft, it seems like SmackDown is all the talking people.
Yes, but what do you do as a? I mean, obviously changes can be made, but what do you do as a top baby face on the show with Cody Rhodes?
You become Jey Uso. Yeet. We'll talk about that in a second.
I want you to know that I did not queue up that segue. He took it.
I had no choice. No, but I don't want to move on quite yet because I did want to ask if you had seen. Was there any point where you thought this Ricky Starks should win the world championship? At some
Absolutely not. Never came to me.
point? what,
No.
what was it?
You know, I'm big on high profile wins, and Ricky never got any of them.
There's definitely that. That's one thing. Just never really got that momentum going behind him, unfortunately.
No. There's no breakthrough performance. There's no breakthrough angle or just or at least character victory. Like there's nothing to be shown. There's very little to be shown for Ricky Starks' time in AEW other than a tag championship and a belt that a lot of people still question the existence of.
They shouldn't. It's right in front of their face. It's right there.
More like the why, but yeah.
You gotta. It's the fucking hardcore title. Every time they defend it, it's got a damn hardcore match, and it's connected to Taz or somebody who's connected to him. I never really thought too hard into it. I think sometimes people think too hard. It's a television show. They introduced it as a prop. It belongs to them now. It's another prop in the line of props. That's just kind of, I guess. I mean, I like belts, but they're just an indicator of whether or not they want to do something with you on TV. To me, it's like, you got the world title. That tells me they're gonna put me in the main stories for the next few months. Yes, like that's kind of how I see it. So you see, like the FTW belt. Like I got the FTW belt. I'm gonna be on TV for the next few weeks. Let's fucking go. Like that's.
Yes, but then you sort of like sometimes this is like, that's true, but is it?
Not always, or at least it should
that's what I'm
be.
saying.
Like that's what I mean. Like I mean, 90% of the time you want it to be. You would want that to be that way. Sometimes you get a belt and you're like, but damn, I'm still off TV, and it's like, sorry, you stink. We just needed you to hold that.
Yeah. Like I mean, for fuck's sake, didn't Brian Cage hold it? And good lord.
Yeah, it's like sometimes we just need you to hold this for something for a second. We have a better idea, and you're gonna help us get there.
So, you are a human shelf, sir.
You're literally a shelf and then a step stool. So please hold on a second. You can take all the pictures you want and show them to your grandkids and make it out to be a bigger deal than it was. We'll take that from you in a sec. Jesus says Ricky could have been TNT champion. I think that's true. I'm trying to imagine a point in the history of the belt.
Given how much that belt's jumped around, like anyone could have been TNT champion at some point.
Yeah, but you're talking like he was around. He was mostly active when the belt was probably at its peak. So I'm trying to think at what point during that time he could have fit in. You had the Miro, you had the Darby. I would have swapped him in for Sammy, but that's in hindsight.
Well, we all know Miro was never going to job for him. I'm kidding.
Fucking Miro. That's such a disappointment.
John is disappointed in Miro, not even for the actual in-ring.
How? Well, because he's actually worth watching in the ring. That's what makes him such a fucking loser. Also,
the lack of enthusiasm from Miro to be Miro.
Hey, good on Tony, man. He didn't break that bro code. As soon as Miro lost his wife, he said, "I'm not booking that bitch, Miro. Don't you worry." But she works here. Nah, man. You were here first. You're the bro.
I forgot that happened, and it doesn't help that they immediately started posting pictures of her with Damian Priest.
I don't want to speculate, but I thought it was very funny. Especially with all those crazy freak stories that Matt Riddle's ex-wife was telling about Damian Priest and Matt Riddle.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah,
I know that Damian himself has mentioned he's probably like they asked who was like the worst person, and he's like, it's probably me. So like he's self-aware.
Yeah, she came on. She said all these things they used to go do together, and I was like, you know what? That matches the style of clothing that I see Damian Priest in.
Yeah, he's Yeah, he's a special guy.
I think they visit a few bondage clubs. It be that way. Hey, I'm not judging. I think it's funny. Oh,
Listen, what makes me think it's funny is all that stuff about like he's just like, I don't get the bisexual Undertaker thing. Yes, you fucking do.
yes, you do.
I know. Don't lie to me. Lie to yourself. Lie to me.
My dog and my cat are fighting behind me. I have to.
I'm told that's what they do.
Well, not usually. I don't know what this dumbass cat is doing.
Live content, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyway, that's that's life with animals. But yeah, no, I guess that is the Ricky Starks conversation. I don't know that he'll be at this point that big of a loss, but it is a shame that it didn't work out. It do be that way. So Jey Uso beat Gunther on. I mean, he didn't beat Gunther. Thank
No.
goodness. He pinned Ilja Dragunov in the semifinals of the King of the Ring, and I didn't want to say that I predicted this would happen, but I certainly had a feeling like
Okay.
if Jey Uso pins Ilja Dragunov clean, there's a few people that are going to be really, really angry about that.
No
For one, I
surprise
was like,
there.
this is nasty to watch, but I don't have that much of an emotional attachment to be like, oh, fuck, I can't believe this happened. I was really sure like they don't have the balls to do Gunther versus Dragunov in the middle of the King of the Ring, even though I have no issue with that shit. I think somebody
Sure.
said, but it would have commercial breaks. I was like, well, that's why they release full matches on YouTube. Don't be a coward. That's what I mean by don't have the balls, because there are ways to work around all the problems that you have with doing Ilya Dragunov versus Gunther on the main roster on Raw next week. There are ways to work around any problem you can have with it. Oh, commercial breaks. WWE frequently starts Raw with 50 fucking minutes commercial free. They could have pulled that out their ass. Fucking they could have released it afterwards again, like they did with Gunther versus Chad Gable. There's ways to make shit happen. There's no, to me, it is not a waste to have an excellent fucking match, even if it's a first time main roster match. It's the King of the Ring tournament. It's supposed to be this prestigious thing anyway.
I would argue just how unprestigious it is because many of the matches have taken place on house shows.
Two of them. And the LA Knight swears to you that's better that way. I don't know. That's on him. He said it's better that way because they can because it makes the live event have something that matters on it.
Which is cute, but
I was like, I get it. But that's like London and Kendrick winning the tag belts in Africa and then losing them on the next show in Africa, and it never makes it on TV, but it was cute.
that's some Ric Flair and Puerto Rico shit.
It happens. Listen, I get it. I would have done it. I would have had Gunther and Ilya Dragunov beat the shit out of each other on national television, and I would have blown the casual audience away with this fucking art that these two would have produced. But that's just me, since y'all are so happy getting drip fed, and you'll get Jey Uso versus Gunther next week, and I hope you enjoy it.
I feel like they set up both of them anyway.
Yeah, like they teased it. They're gonna do Gunther versus Dragunov down the line. I'm sure they'll have a big pay-per-view match at some point. I'm just saying it wouldn't have killed nobody. It would not hurt to do it next week. Especially if Jey Uso is just gonna lose anyway. Like if they just cheat him out of the win, like if his brother or whatever pulls his leg next week, like you could have done that this week. You just fucking done it against Ilya and done the better match next week on Raw. You fucking cowards. But we'll see. Maybe Jey Uso has an
what
excellent.
do you care for the argument of making you like beg for it first?
I don't fucking. That's like I'm thinking of me as a fan. Like I'm not.
Sure, but like that's
I don't
sort
want to
of the
beg. I don't want to beg for nothing. What the fuck? Give me the damn match on free TV. Get the fuck out of here. I'll pay for it next time too. What the fuck? Like,
you got to build it up, John. You got to get it juicy.
so then give him a fuck finish. Let him draw. I don't know. Beat the shit out of each other for 20 minutes, and then Gunther decides I gotta punch this guy in the dick. I can't win. Like
It's
God,
like waiting. It's like waiting a year for Taz and Sabu to actually make contact,
and then hoping that the people stay with you that long. But
they did.
They did. The environment was for it though. As for all the talk of long-term storytelling, these days people are weird. They claim they want it and then they get impatient when they don't. Me, I don't give a fuck either way. I just want to enjoy wrestling. When I'm offered a choice between next week, you can have Ilja Dragunov versus Gunther, or you can have Jey Uso versus Gunther. I'm gonna hope for the other one.
Sure.
I
I thought this was a foregone conclusion, mostly just because like Jey Uso is too over.
That was no
babyface.
surprise. First, it shouldn't have been. People were surprised. That's one thing. I think
that I'm surprised that you're surprised.
Because they even when they even had Gunther stare down Dragunov before the match. I was like, oh, this is definitely not. This is definitely not next week's match.
Right.
They did not just dismiss Jey Uso on live television. So no surprise there. But for me as a fan of wrestling, like I said.
But that's what I focus on is that even before they did the Jey Uso Gunther standoff, he does make a point to fucking glare at Dragunov again. It's like, okay, you're doing this on purpose.
No, but I mean, Dragunov and Gunther had a whole ass stare down before the finals match.
No, yes. But I'm also saying they had the stare down after the match as well.
Oh God, Jesus,
is Tama in the
fact that is so possible.
I didn't know Tama was in the tournament.
That makes me sick. But you're making me sick, Jesus. Tama Tonga is in the tournament on SmackDown.
Okay.
It's not like he's had any match worth watching yet, but he's in there.
All I know is he's got the ye old jumping flatline air.
I would have cared a lot less if because originally Drew McIntyre was in the spot instead of Jey Uso.
Okay.
Like if Drew McIntyre had pinned Ilja Dragunov, I didn't give a fuck. We're gonna get Drew versus Gunther next week. Like that would have been sick. But it was Jey Uso.
Feels like a weird place for that match, but yeah.
Like that's big, but do that in the middle of the King of the Ring. That's some awesome shit. Gunther had Sheamus, and then he had Drew McIntyre, and then like that would have been a fucking sick ass run. But
I'm curious what the reactions to that would end up being.
I don't know if people would have been so visceral about it if it was Drew and not Jey Uso. There was already a little bit of ever since WrestleMania, ever since him and his brother stunk up the joint at WrestleMania. There's been a bit of people who kind of look at Jey like, do you have more than 3 moves? Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Have we been
That's a weird question to ask now.
Wait a minute. It's what happened for me. The way I see it, what happened was Jey had all this aura and all this cool fucking factor around him because of the story they were telling at the time.
Sure.
Broken off from the bloodline. He came off like he was challenging the tribal chief. He came off like he was somebody who could challenge the tribal chief. He took Roman to the limit.
Sure.
And it was great. He was cutting these promos, not like, to the camera promos, but him and Roman were going back and forth, and it was passionate, and he was an interesting character, and you kind of were so invested in seeing where the story went. The crowd was into everything he did. And then as time went on and he separated from that, you kind of saw all the cool factor and aura fade. It just kind of peel off, peel off, peel off, and at a certain point, he just became the Yeet man. He just says Yeet. That's his thing now. That's the whole. That's the whole thing. That's and then the WrestleMania match happens, and it's like, oh,
while I didn't care for the, I thought the Yeet no Yeet went a little too far. I would just argue that like this is usually what happens, right? Like we built up. This is a testament to what good writing is. I argued for the longest time that like Jey Uso wouldn't be like a main event guy, and I was wrong. Obviously, here he is. My reasons for that were always like, yeah, he's not that great, but that is the testament of really strong writing, that they built a character that you cared about in spite of his shortcomings. In that situation, you are now sort of inundated with the idea, just like, you gotta keep having strong writing for that guy.
and I mean that really should always be like that shouldn't be something they have to be told or like you have to. That should kind of be the way you operate. Okay, like how do we end up here? If all of this was, and I'm not saying this was the only goal, but if all this was to break off Jay and create a new star, then how come you didn't have anything ready for him? Like what the fuck? Anyway,
That's a
he's
question you
over
can
his
ask
hell.
of a lot of
He's
guys.
over his hell still. They got the lights. Pat McAfee called them Yeet lights. I don't like that. They're fireflies, right? I barely like that, but Bray called them fireflies, and then he, that's his legacy now. I'm like, you know what?
I'm weird about that myself. I can't call the Fireflies out there being a Bray Wyatt association.
I don't mind because they kind of are that, like they were in fireflies until every single person in the audience was turned them on at the same time, and then oh shit, that's Bray's thing. I guess if they're moving, I don't like the word Yeet lights. I just thought that's so fucking corny. God damn it.
Well, Pat McAfee says a lot of things.
He fucking sucks. What's wrong? What happened to him?
Pat?
God, he sucks.
He's the same guy.
I hate hearing him now. I'm just like, damn it. You were a breath of fresh air. Now you are a breath of stink breath.
He's the same guy. It's just he's gonna have some misses.
No, it's just in a different environment. I think I don't remember what show I was saying this on, but when he first got on the mic, it was Vince who was still around. He was still in Michael Cole's ear, and Pat McAfee was the guy who kind of didn't sit in Vince's little boundary box. He was playing with Michael Cole, and he was,
Which he
was kind of breaking the monotony. Whereas now Michael Cole is really free to be a great announcer, and now Pat McAfee comes off like a fucking annoying little brother. Like you're actually bothering a good enough. You're breaking up some good stuff here with your. I'm eating all over myself. I was like, shit.
You might feel that way, but like, have you seen the clips of Michael Cole during these things?
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to feel like they're worked. Honestly, all those announce table videos have been weird for me. I always see them like, and the same thing with the Samantha Irving videos, where it's like, I'm pretty sure there was one original, genuine one. I know that it's always an original one, like Mauro Ranallo's original announce table videos.
No, that's Mauro. I've seen Mauro in the MMA days. That is,
but that's what I mean. Like that's what, like, for me, the Michael Cole thing is like, you have Mauro Ranallo's original fucking craziness, and then probably a time where it happened to Michael once, and then they were like, "We love this, Mike. Don't change." And now every time he does the jump up and down thing, I'm like, okay, I kind of am suspicious of this now, but we'll see. We'll see.
Sure.
It's wrestling. I'm suspicious of everything.
I guess that's fair too. Yeah. I know there was the claim that Samantha purposely doesn't know the outcomes of the matches, so
I don't think there is any reason why she should. Like, why should she be told the outcome of the matches at all? She's just gonna say the name of the person who wins right in front of her face. Like,
but there were a lot of days where like people were clued into a lot of things. Like they I think there was a comment from somebody, I forgot who, but like they were on the broadcast team and they didn't like to know the outcome of the matches beforehand. And like I think Jim Ross found that to be silly. But I think I think they both go about that job a particular way, you know? I've heard of this sort of idea with actors, right? An actor wants to know what the twist is for their character because they're going to morph the performance around that finality.
I get that. I mean, I definitely get that. I just if you're not, I think there's people who should know. I think the ref should know. I think
You better know.
well, but remember there was a long time where they fucking didn't.
No, I don't know if I've ever known the ref not to know the finish, but I think they've known.
Dude,
I think they
there was
told the refs to
fucking
have.
years where
They
that
told
was
the
a
refs to have
WWE
shoot
rule.
finishes. I think they told the refs to do shoot counts.
No, dude, they didn't tell them the finishes. There was
Yeah.
years where they just wouldn't tell them the finishes so that they could do shoot counts. I don't even remember why. Well, I guess probably somebody messed up or stopped the count because they knew there was supposed to be a 3 count, but I don't remember what was the catalyst for
A
this. But
few
there was
people have done that. Fucking Earl did it.
it's happened multiple times, but something had to have happened and I'm sure this wasn't one of those weird fucking Vince things or probably Kevin Dunn where they all of a sudden decided we're not going to tell these motherfuckers to finish it. And I don't know.
I remember them being told to do shoot counts and to the point where they were not compensated, they were rewarded for it.
There were times where matches would end because of this.
Yeah,
I think,
and the referees were rewarded for doing the shoot count. Like that's the guy's fault if you did your job right.
That's where that Cody Rhodes "fuck on me" story comes from. But I do think
by the way, I am
know.
all for the shoot count thing.
I think the ref should know to finish. I think the ref should know to finish. I think the television director should know the finishes.
I don't think they're two separate things. The ref should know the finish, but I also believe in the shoot count.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I mean, you should just
if
count.
You don't kick out, that's your fucking fault.
It's not your job, right? You should just count. But I also believe that the ref knowing the finish is important to telling the story because I mean, he's a fucking character in the story. He should know how it fucking ends.
There are people who believe very strongly about how much of a character a ref is.
Get the fuck out of here.
There are a lot of people who believe the ref should be completely unmemorable and not involved.
I'm not saying the ref should be Nick Patrick versus fucking, I'm saying that they're a character in the story no matter whether people like it or not. It is the truth that dance doesn't end unless that zebra comes in and does their fucking part. And it will work better if they knew what part they had to do. That's all I'm saying. Them, and more importantly than them, the fucking TV directors, the dudes who are running these cameras should not only know the finishes, they should know the highlights that they need to be looking for. So that we don't have these situations where Chris Jericho falls off the top of a fucking cage and the cameraman is like, oh.
I think we lost John for a second there.
Yeah. We shouldn't shoot.
Yeah, that's one of those interesting things where I start to wonder how John, are you there?
I think the director should know all the fucking highlights of the night. Not just the finishes, but this is what we want you to focus on. We're gonna have a new fucking champion. You want to make sure you get this shot, and this shot. We're gonna have Jericho fall off a roof. I want you to shoot it from down here. Make sure you don't fucking shoot it from up top because we're gonna expose the gimmick. So like,
Sure. That becomes a very difficult conversation because you have to account for how much people know.
that's what I mean. Like, there is somebody in this hierarchy that knows the rundown.
Everything?
There's somebody in this fucking hierarchy that has a sheet, that has the damn rundown sheet.
But no. If we're to believe what some of those sheets are saying, it's usually just like, what is it? Match and what's the term they use now? It's not coordinator. Agent? Producer? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a producer.
Yeah.
But
So it's like producer, Jason Jordan, whatever.
But it's not impossible. That just means somebody needs to collect it. It's just like the show.
Yeah, but those things don't say much more than producer Jason Jordan. And like, I don't think all these guys are we could call it we can call it a failure or whatever. I don't think everyone is getting the time to be in communication with the media people all the time, especially in the old days where things just constantly fucking changed.
What is goddamn 2024? It takes an email, a text message, a collaboration of all the paperwork that we have made today. And we'll fucking, hey,
which can't be trusted.
Guys put this match together because it's like we know the fucking card as fans, or we already know the damn regular card. That's bare minimum. Okay, like filling in, giving this motherfucker a piece of paper that some secretary somewhere filled in with the night's highlights that we collected 3 hours before the show started should not be impossible. It should be fairly easy, actually. You could just create the piece of paper that doesn't exist.
I don't know if there's always an itemized. I can only speak on my experience in pro wrestling. I don't know if there's always an itemized list of highlights of the entire show.
No, that's what I mean. Make it.
Like, no, I'm saying I don't think everyone has it. I don't think there's a person who has all that information.
Bro, that's what I mean. Like, we have to create that person. Like, then that needs to be somebody who exists. Like, because first of all, that feels impossible to me. This is a television production on a fucking cable network. Sure. As chaotic as things can get, there has to be a person who is not just Tony Khan that knows what the fuck is going to happen tonight from top to bottom. That's just, there's no way this fucking TV production is happening where they don't know. I mean, obviously it's wrestling, so things happen and you have to change things on the fly, or somebody's fucking pants ripped, or, whatever the fuck. But a general idea of the things that are supposed to happen, that's irresponsible.
And I would argue it's even worse in there is the potential for it to be even worse in AEW because of the quote freedoms given to the guys in the ring.
Yeah, but I mean, when it comes to in-ring highlights, you're talking about like, how they put the match together. That's something that's between them and the producer. I'm talking like, so somebody's gonna die tonight. As soon as the bell rings, we're gonna hit them with a truck. I need the director to know that somebody's getting hit with a truck, because when the truck comes, I want them to have the best possible idea of how to shoot.
I'm thinking we're talking about stuff just as simple as them missing dives.
No. That's impossible.
That's the stuff I'm saying is fucking impossible.
No, that's because that's things get called in the ring, and
that's what I was trying to say.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
you're talking about the like big segment stuff.
Yeah, like the highlights that we planned, that we know. Because I mean, and in matches too, like, they're gonna call a match in the ring, but like, I have this idea that the finish has to be this. Okay. So the director should know that we had this idea that the finish has to be this. That's what I meant. Not like they.
Sure. Okay. So like I will agree with you with that point, because I think like
if I that there's gonna be a fucking 450.
If I were to point out a particular segment, I'll say
Yes, that's how we get down. Actually, I mean, You should see how many other helmets I have that I haven't worn. So this is the restraint I've shown.
So to use an example, right? I think I would think there were a lot of things that go down in the match that the production team might not know, as far as this move or that move or this move or that move. What I do agree with you on, where I think the production team is actually absolutely clued in on, is, oh, they know the spot in the match where Vince is going to rise up out of the fucking apron, crazed
Yeah,
and bloodied, and the cameraman knows where his shot has to be. I agree, they know that. Yes. I thought
me
this
too.
was the conversation about like the cameraman missing dives and missing
Nah,
other wrestling
that's
spots.
just it just needs to be better. I think that comes with the experience because as fans, you just kind of know when a guy's going for a dive. You
Yeah.
know, I've been watching wrestling for 20 years. That motherfucker is clapping and his back is facing that other rope. He is about to
Yes.
go run. So like,
Which
I think
if
that
I
just
can
comes.
mention
Yeah.
something that I've noticed in WWE, that it makes me happy. Um, I've noticed that we've done the thing in multi-man or tag matches where they don't cut to the guy about to break up the pin during a pinfall. I fucking hate that so much. Especially when it's like a big spot. I can't hear you at all. I can't hear you, John.
I clicked my mute button. I don't I don't mind if they I don't always mind if they catch the guy getting ready to come in because the idea that they never see it, it's a little unbelievable. But
No,
like
but I you obviously have like a spot where fucking here's a perfect example, right? Who was it? Uh Charlotte's got like the figure eight and someone's going to interrupt it with the big splash. Like, don't show them climbing.
yeah,
Stay on the figure eight and then let the surprise happen.
they get to jump in out of the frame
Out of
from out of
frame.
the frame into the frame. It
Yes.
does look cool.
That's the sort of thing I've seen them start doing, or at least not cut to the frame until like the last minute, where it feels like, what? Oh shit! When they just cut to the person climbing the rope as Charlotte's in the figure eight, you're just like, oh, here comes the
I'm
interruption.
mostly happy they're not oh, fuck, I lost my whole train of thought. I saw this stupid post. Willow Nightingale fucked my whole life.
Someone said something stupid. I lost.
Someone was being dumb, and it wasn't me. Took away my whole fucking.
Took away everything I understood.
Max says the perfect example of that shot where the dude comes out of the frame was when Triple H hit the pedigree on Edge
Yes.
Armageddon in 2008, and Jeff Hardy just swanton bombed out of nowhere.
Yes, that's a great one.
I I'm my one of my favorites is Chris at WrestleMania 20, the main event. Chris Benoit has Triple H in the sharpshooter.
Who?
Stevie Richards has Triple H in the sharpshooter. And Shawn Michaels hits a fucking super kick from out the frame.
Yeah, it's just
It's
a
like,
foot.
oh fuck.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my favorite
Someone made
example
a
of that.
someone made a great comparison about that recently, which is like it was in the Kim Justice wrestling videos we were talking about, and they were talking about the history of like shoot kicks that happen when dudes are in submission holds.
Oh man, I have to watch that one.
Um, it wasn't specifically that, but it was a point that came up because like we've got the one that happens with Maeda and Shoshu, and I think there's another one that goes down at a different time, and then like you can trace all that in the back now to like um the surprise kick that happens to Chris Benoit, and even the one between Kiyomiya and Okada.
I love that. I
Just
fucking love that.
yeah, it's its own little trope.
I actually didn't. I never fucking noticed. Just kicking the dude in the face while he's got a submission on is a wrestling trope.
Yeah,
This is what we do, baby.
you can trace those things, man.
But that is pretty much. Yeah, I mean, we talked about everything there is to talk about this week. Has Jey Uso been reduced to a catchphrase? A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I just think there's just one of those things, man, where it's like, we don't have strong writing for him, but he is over as fuck, so we can present him on TV, and everyone loves doing the arms thing, and he's an exciting character to have on the show, but we got to give him something to work with, guys.
I just think it's lazy. If you see that he's over, you see how over he is. You worked hard to get him to this point.
Yeah.
Why aren't you following up? Or if you see that it's
I lost you again.
failing right now, why aren't we adjusting?
Okay.
There we go. God damn it. Saying, you see, he's still over, he's getting cheered, so it's a success. But it's like, no, it's also
Right.
very boring, and you've given it a shelf life. That's my feeling on it. Max said y'all still want Usos versus Gorillas of Destiny.
I never wanted it. I did not care.
I definitely never asked for that. Hey, but I'm sure y'all are gonna enjoy it.
In fact, I was happier in a world where Tangaloa didn't really have a job there.
I'm glad he's getting paid at least.
Good for him. I'm sure he's got a family to support. But like I'm amused that he is Tongaloa now. Like, you changed one letter.
What even happened? Why did he lose the A? What are we even doing? God.
Like, no, they have to be related. It's Tamatanga and Tongaloa. Like, okay.
So,
Whatever.
Greg, I want to give you a chance to tell us, what were you doing on January 6th?
What?
With George.
Come on,
Major
bro.
issues.
Well, I think my episode already aired.
What'd you do then? Because I didn't get.
We talked about the the Marvel anime known as Avengers Confidential.
I'm sorry that happened. You're right. No, somebody has somebody's watching Batman Ninja. I can't remember who.
I believe it's Cloudus.
Okay, there we go. Well,
yes,
you can tell them all about it.
Yeah, I didn't watch Batman Ninja either. The moment I heard about that show, I was just like, this premise is not for me.
He's not supposed to be an actual ninja. He's supposed to be like a ninja. You all fucked it all up.
Well, I mean, the movie does make him like an actual fucking trained ninja.
It's a movie. Those things don't count. That's like the furthest outside. That's, for me, the movies are the furthest outside the radius.
But doesn't the cartoon and maybe even the comic suggest that, like, he learned all the martial arts and ninjutsu would have been one of them? He technically would have been a trained ninja.
He's got the qualities of all different kinds of warriors from around the world.
You know, if there's anything that's unbelievable,
you can also call him a samurai or a boxer.
Well, a samurai would be like a political position.
That motherfucker got political positions in Nanda Parbat.
Like, if there's anything that's unbelievable, there's the idea that he mastered like 15 different martial arts by the time he was 25.
And then locked himself in a cave for a year or whatever, or what was it? Like, I forgot how fucking long he was in the cave of death. Max says, by the way, John, I'm in the middle of watching the Wolverine. Only a few X-Men movies left to go since I've seen both Deadpools. I like the Wolverine.
I do not.
I think it's a great little miniseries. It reminds me of a great little just Wolverine 6-issue story where he just goes to Japan and fights fucking his demons in Japan, because that's literally what Wolverine does every 6 fucking months. He goes to Japan
and find something he doesn't like.
Find something either he doesn't like or something that he forgot that he oh shit, that's right. I fucked up the entire Japanese mafia that one time. Ah, yeah. Like good times.
Yoriko.
Now they all want me dead. Mariko. I love you so I love you so much, Mariko. Oh no, she's dead. not don't worry, no spoilers, Mac. That's not in the Wolverine movie. That's his original Frank Miller for she doesn't even die. She fucking marries him and then leaves him, and then the book ends with him shedding a single tear. It's so fucking weird.
Wait, so are we getting the names mixed up, or is that two different people?
No. Maybe we are. If Mariko's the lady he married, isn't it?
I remember Yuriko.
Yuriko is Lady Deathstrike.
That was also the woman he seemed to be with.
He bangs a lot of. I mean, Wolverine bangs a lot of.
That's what I'm saying. Like the names were similar, so I couldn't tell if we were mixing the names up or if they were two different people.
No, Wolverine's very interested in Asian women, but also white redhead women, but also Indian women, but also beautiful black queens.
Wolverine's just a lover of women.
He loves women.
And maybe men, according to some people.
Oh, good luck in that job interview, Mac, for sure. I can never watch a movie and stop it halfway. It kills me to do that. I'm like, my wife and my mother always tell me, like, we'll just watch half now and watch it later. I was like, that's not how it was meant to be. Fucking absorbed. This is not a TV show.
John's just like imagining going through the rest of his day without.
I didn't even finish the narrative.
He didn't get his conclusion.
I'm not gonna have all the details fresh in my mind when we get back to it.
Oh man, my girlfriend does something close like that. No, so like she's worse because you mentioned the TV show. She's the kind of person where like if she can't remember exactly where she left off, she would just start the season over. I'm just like, I can't do that bullshit.
The whole season?
Yes.
I can rewind a bit. Like I can go back. I'm just trying to find a place.
Yeah. It almost happened yesterday. Literally. Like we're supposed to be finishing this like last season of fucking Young Sheldon. And I can't remember where the last episode we saw. And she was just like,
all right, to the pilot.
And she's like, well, no. She wasn't going that far. Like, she's just like, let's just start the season over. I'm just like, absolutely fucking not. It kills me. I don't like doing it.
Max says, I went to the movies with a friend of mine a couple months ago. And she started feeling sick in the middle of the movie and decided she's going to leave. I stayed, and when it came out on DVD, she stared at the place that she left off. What the fuck? That is deranged. She's next level.
That didn't work out.
It couldn't have been me. It's been months. Like, how do you even remember what happened? I guess that's just some people don't want to experience the thing twice. I was like that for a long time. I didn't like to experience something I already experienced, at least not immediately after. I would like to erase it from my mind first. But
I know a few people, most immediately my father, that cannot rewatch movies.
I don't know how I got over it. I don't remember what it was. It was probably the influx of superhero movies that became like rewatchable because you want to binge before you go see the next chapter or whatever. And then kind of became easier to be like, oh, well, I can rewatch Oppenheimer. That's where we are. It was Oppenheimer, by the way, says Mac. Listen, that's just disrespectful. She ain't want to watch the movie. She should have watched something else. Cat in the Hat is out soon.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had that problem, but I was also the kind of kid who was just like, no, I'm gonna watch All Dogs Go to Heaven like 18 fucking times.
I mean, I think as kids you just have a different thing because as kids we spammed movies. There's certain movies
I never got out of that.
It's gonna be burned in my head. You know what? But it's just that as I got older, I had a thing. It's weird. In my teen years, I would not. Maybe it's fucking ADHD or something. The thought of having to of being stuck in a movie, like, oh fuck, I have to sit down for 2 hours. I don't think I'm ready to do that right now. It would keep me from watching movies too. Sometimes, like,
Oh,
I don't want to
I
watch.
still haven't watched Oppenheimer because in my head I have to commit the 3 hours to it.
It's changed for me now to where I'm like, if I'm really enjoying it, I don't even, or if I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it, I'm like, you know, we'll see what happens. I'm just a lot open. I'm a lot more open to sitting down for a longer period of time
Yeah.
these days. I guess because I'm
Our mutual friend, from the DSR podcast, Daniel, like almost killed me because I said I haven't even touched the Batman 4K yet because it's 3 hours and I have to commit myself to that time.
you got to do it sometime. That's another thing too.
And I will do it
I started
sometime.
getting really weird about time, and I was like, fuck, there's never enough of it.
I think, not to get weird on this, I think that's a mortality thing. I think you get old and start really thinking about time.
I'm like, fuck. So
How am I using it? How am I using it? Am I using it for the things I want?
there's not enough hours in the day.
No,
I moved from my whole full-time job to a part-time because I was like, I'm giving too
I
much
don't
of
have
my
enough.
life to you.
I listen. I think that's a real thing. I think my girlfriend's a chronic workaholic. She spends way too much time at her job. Granted, she's in a position where the financial overtime is very beneficial to her, but um, yeah, she's a chronic workaholic. I was the kind of person who's just like, my time's up, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm
I
not.
got yelled at for leaving when my shift ended. She was just like, the manager was just like, "Well, what if we needed you?" I was like, "You should have told me that before the fucking clock ended."
Then you should have scheduled me for another hour. What the fuck you mean?
If you would have asked me 30 minutes ago, I'd have probably done it. Now my shift's done. It's your fault.
I don't value. I think there's a whole culture of people that value work and value working, and they take pride in
Yes, they.
working. And I get
I
it.
know
I'm not
people.
knocking you. The Mac
I
says he
know
works
people
6 days a week, 9 to 5, overtime on Saturday. Mac,
Mm.
I would rather eat a grenade. Uh, I don't have.
Isn't
Let
that
me
a
get.
Bruno Mars song?
Oh my god. I mean, I just I can't. I don't value it. I don't value work like that. I mean, the paycheck is
Yeah,
nice, but then it's like, God, I don't even care about the fucking money anymore. I just want to live. I just
I
want to
I know
exist.
people who like whose identity is sort of based on having a job and feeling like if they're not working, they feel like they aren't whole.
I want this. I want this to be my job. I want to make money doing this because I
Sure.
want to do because it's mine because I woke up and I was like, "Hey, where my friends at? Let's do a cool thing. We should
Yeah.
fucking make money doing this because at least we'd be spending our lives and our time doing
Sure.
shit that we want to
Why do
do."
you think so many people now have these YouTube jobs? It's not just because we're lazy assholes. Some of it is. Um, but granted, if you knew the kind of work that goes on to these sort of things, you can't even be that lazy, especially if you know, hate editing. But
Hey.
but like, yeah, like there are people out there now who realize that, um, just how finite their time is, and like they may as well spend it doing things they love, and now they can. it- The way the gig economy is, you can make money watching movies. You just have to learn how to do the taxes.
I think in the end, the thing that's gonna get all of us is the retirement fund. Like, oh shit, we didn't think that far ahead. No,
Yeah, yeah.
but also,
The best reason for me to keep my job is because I don't want to do the taxes.
I'd rather just live until I die. I can't live. I can't. I as much as I can. Obviously, some things you just can't avoid. You do what you have to, and you get it over with. But you're never gonna catch me being excited to be like, let's
This
fucking
wrestling
go. Thank you for the overtime. I love this. I would literally rather die. Literally.
this wrestling
Hank
podcast
says
has gone to some
he
places.
does. He does. I mean, listen, I get that. Basically, watching movies, eating food at work, uh, and getting paid real good for it. Like as long as you're happy,
Listen,
man.
I
That's the
can't even
biggest
hate
thing.
because
Like you
like
said, look, he said I'm making close to $1,000 a week. I am not unhappy. That's the
that's
most
fine.
important thing.
That's totally fine. I can relate. I make close to that. And I sit at a desk in an empty lobby that people occasionally enter to go into their homes or to leave their homes. So like I get it. I have a very sedentary, almost low responsibility job. I still have to watch cameras and clean up and do stuff like that. But you know,
I couldn't deal with that.
it's not like I'm in a mill working and grinding or like a slaving in front of a hot stove. Those guys, Jesus Christ.
No, I start getting all resentful and shit. I start feeling like, fuck, you scheduled me to come here at 6 a.m. I
Sure,
just got out at 3. Do you want
sure.
me to actually punch you in your fucking face? Uh,
Oh, dude, there were days where I was like I was the last shift at the supermarket and the first shift the next day.
yeah, you see, I start feeling really angry about that. Who do you think you are? Who do you think I
Yeah,
am? You
yeah.
think I live for this?
And then you start, and then your brain starts doing the math where the people telling me to do this are getting paid this, and I'm getting
Yeah,
paid this, and
yeah,
you're just
and it
like,
just gets
fuck
worse and worse and
you.
worse, and now I'm poisoned with anger and resentment, and I hate you all. I hate coming here, and I'm sick of you. It's been 2
Yeah,
days. I'm sick of.
yeah, yeah. Listen, the the capitalist industry will chew you up and spit you out if you let it.
Basically,
You
I
have to
don't want
find your
anybody.
own place in it.
I don't want them thinking I need them. I don't. Fuck you. I'd rather die.
That's fair, man. That's honestly pretty fair.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a plug. We had, make sure you catch the Major Issue Show every single
Batman
Thursday.
Ninja.
Every single Thursday. Check us out, Jersey Radio at comicbookclick.com. That's where we put all our news. You'll notice as we get more writers, you'll get a better flow of content because as of now it's just me and Nick. We're doing what we can.
You have writers?
But jerseyradiocom slash comicbookclick.com slash jersey radio. Get all your fucking pro wrestling and pop culture news there.
Yay.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much us for the night. Make sure to catch us Jersey Radio live every single day. Basically. Next week, we've got Monday Night Raw post show rewind, Tuesday night NXT post show, Wednesday night Dynamite, then the Wednesday night flagship Jersey Radio, Thursday night Impact, Friday night SmackDown, Saturday night King and Queen of the Ring, Sunday afternoon you'll get 3NT Wrestling live on Jersey Radio, and then finally the Double or Nothing AEW post show rewind. So that is all available next week, live and on demand, everywhere Jersey Radio is found. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We love you. You're all our friends, and we're glad to see you in the middle of the night with us every fucking week. And if you're not live with us, we love you for fucking listening and watching on demand.
Yes.